Well, hello and welcome to Benefits TV. I'm your host, Christine Glazeman. We are continuing in our series, our Main Street Success series. And today I have the privilege of getting to interview not only a fellow associate client, but also a friend, Eric Lofholm. He is president of Eric Lofholm International. I'm going to just go through his bio here. It's pretty impressive. Eric has taught his proven sales system to thousands of professionals around the world, and he's president and CEO of Eric Lofholm International, an organization he founded to professionally train people on the art and science of selling. Eric began his career actually as a sales failure. At his first job, he was put on quota probation after failing to meet the minimum quota 2 months in a row. And it was at this point that he met his sales mentor. And after being professionally trained, Eric went on to become a top producer at that company, and then 2 more companies after that. Eric is a naturally gifted teacher for over 20 years. Eric has been sharing his proven sales, increasing ideas with people all around the world. He has authored 15 books on sales and success, and he lives in Rocklin, California with his wife and 4 children. Eric believes that selling equals service. He also believes in working toward mastery, the fundamentals of lead generation, appointment setting, and delivering a high quality presentation. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get going on our questions. So Eric, tell us a little bit about how your company got started, a little bit about your business journey and evolution.
Well, I started in 1999. I was 28 years old at the time. I'm 51 currently. And I had just finished a 3-year stretch employed by motivational superstar Tony Robbins. And I really had my confidence increase being around Tony and working for his company and learning from him. And I just decided I want to start my own training company. My area of expertise was and still is sales. And so I started helping individuals make more sales, teaching the techniques that I had learned from Tony and from others and from my own life experience. And so that's how I started the company.
Awesome. What gets you out of bed every day? How do you beat the alarm clock? I know that you love what you do, but share a little bit more about that. I'm sure that's changed over time.
Yeah, you know, Christine, my life is really about service. And my work is about service, but whether I'm working or not, I show up as service for my family, service in the community. And I love teaching. So through my work, I get to serve, make a difference, and teach. And so every day I'm doing what it is that I love doing. So it's not work for me. I'm very much into goal setting. And so I've got, goals that I'm always striving for. And so I get to get up each day and do the things that I love to do.
That's fabulous. I love that you said that, because someone else was very successful that I interviewed previously stressed about service, being of service to your community, your family, to your clients, and that really seems to be a recurring theme. So I'm sure there were people along the way that inspired and encouraged you. What did you learn from them, and how did they provide you support?
Well, my first mentor, his name is Dante Pirano. And when I met him, I was in my early 20s. He was and still is a multimillionaire real estate investor. And so when I would spend time with him, there's a principle that probably most of the listeners have heard of before, of you become like the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with, or you'll rise to the level of your peer group. So I had previously been a cook at McDonald's, and I was attending community college, and I left that job in community college to go be the assistant of this multimillionaire. And so when I would spend time with him, it's just a different conversation. The things that he's talking about, the things that he's thinking about, the things that he's doing versus my, the college students that I was hanging out with, or the employees at McDonald's that I was associating with. And so that I used to just grow by leaps and bounds from the conversations that we would have. And then my first sales mentor, Dr. Donald Moyne, he was the one that trained me in the early 1990s and he believed in me at a higher level than I believed in myself. And he saw that I could become great before I ever saw that selling could be an area of strength for me. And so that belief in me, it's like he saw it so then I could see it. And then once I saw it, then I could take action on it. And so having others believe in me has been really instrumental in my life.
Your first mentor, how again did you meet him? Did you seek him out, or did you just naturally meet? And how did that happen? I'm just curious. What were you doing?
It was kind of this random thing. And he was teaching a real estate seminar, and I was never interested in real estate seminars. And my stepmom, I had been out of the house for a couple of years, and we didn't really talk all that often. And out of the blue one day, she called me and said, "Hey, I'm going to this real estate seminar down in the Bay Area, which is about a 2-hour drive from where I live." And she goes, "I really think you should go." And Christine, that was just so random because we never did stuff like that. And, the fact that it was 2 hours away, but I guess her intuition said, call Eric. And so she calls me and I'm okay, fine, I'll go. Even though I previously had never expressed interest in real estate investing. And that's where I met Dante. And he was the speaker there. And we bought his course. And one of the things that we did after we bought the course is we went to his office to meet with one of his staff members, a gentleman named Rodney Nelson. So we're now in Dante's office. Dante wasn't there that day, or at least he didn't meet with me. But so I'm meeting with this gentleman named Rodney who works for Dante. And Rodney says, "You should come work for Dante. Dante looks for guys like you." And I'm thinking to myself, I work at McDonald's. I go to community college. I have nothing to offer this guy. What do you mean? What do you mean Dante's looking for guys like me? It doesn't make any sense. But what it did, Christine, is it planted a seed in my mind that was possible. And that seed grew to the point where I applied for the job. And I got called in for an interview. I was hired, and Dante's teaching these seminars, and one person would travel with him as his assistant, like drive him around in the car, carry his bags, work the back table at the seminar. So within 2 weeks of working for Dante, I became his assistant. So now I'm traveling around the country with this multimillionaire, having meals with him. And it was just like this random thing. But with what I learned from him, it really was, it catapulted my life forward. And, now I train thousands of people a year, but the seed of it was this experience that I had with Dante. And so I don't know, maybe it was just God's plan. It was random. Somehow, some way I ended up in that situation, and the rest is history.
That's amazing. The reason I asked that question is because I found, just even looking back in my experiences in the last 10, 20 years, is that very often we'll have an invitation to go to an event or meet someone. And very often it comes from someone who's close to us, a friend or a family member. And I'm learning more now to say yes to those invitations, because you never know who you're going to meet, and you just never know where that's going to lead. And so many times it's led to, like for you, a very pivotal moment, a very pivotal relationship that catapulted you onto a different track than where you were. So looking back on your journey, were there any things you might have done differently? Hindsight's always perfect. And so can you think of some things that, like, you learned, that things that you know now, had you known that then, you would have gone in a different direction, made some different choices? Share about that.
Well, one thing is that early in my career, I was not doing a good enough job of applying best practices. So in any industry, there's a set of best practices for generating leads or getting referrals or prospecting or selling or whatever the case may be. And so I wasn't even aware of what the best practices were. So I wasn't following them. And if I could go back in time, like in my industry, a year-long coaching program is a very common product that a trainer would have. And a $5,000 price point is a very common price point. Well, I did not start charging that until like I don't know, maybe my 8th year in business. I could have been doing that in year 1. So that would have made a massive difference in my revenue, my profitability. So that's just one example. One other example is that I had purchased my first property in 1999. I bought a condo, and the current property that I'm in now, I'm in a 30-year mortgage, like a lot of mortgages. I'm going to pay the mortgage every month. I might accelerate it, but I will own my home free and clear at some point. And I wish if I had understood what I know now about real estate, any of the real estate that I had purchased before, if I had just made the mortgage payment for 30 years and maybe accelerated it, I would have ended up owning multiple properties free and clear. And so at least the property I'm in now, eventually that will happen. But this is such a simple strategy, make your mortgage payment every month for the term of the loan and you own your house free and clear. And so those are 2 things that come to mind.
Awesome. You shared about your start with learning under Dr. Moyne. What were some other key pivotal moments in your business that brought you greater success? Looking back on your whole journey, can you think of some other experiences?
Well, one of the things I'll tell you about a struggle point in my business that led to a breakthrough. And back in 2003, my main business was teaching seminars. And so we had built the business up pretty successfully. And in some cases, I'd have 1,000 people attending one of my seminars, which required that we had a team of telemarketers and we had a team of trainers, and we'd all go out and we'd promote these events. And so my team fell apart, and I went from a staff of 20 down to a staff of 1. And I had to reinvent my business model because I no longer had the sales team to do these large seminars. And so I was at this seminar one time, and Robert Allen, who's the man who did the book Nothing Down, and he's done some other books as well, and he's been training for many years. And he said to the audience of 500, I'm sitting in the audience, and he said, could I get my proteges to stand up? And about 50 people in the room stood up. I wasn't one of them. I had no idea what he was talking about. So these 50 people stand up. I'm in my seat. And he says this off the cuff statement. Some of you speakers out there, which I'm a speaker, some of you speakers out there might want to think about getting some proteges. And so when he said that, it planted a seed in my mind to create a protege program, which became my seminar, but an online version of it. So I could now work with anybody anywhere in the world as long as they were English speaking and they had a computer. And that became the single most successful product that I've ever created in my company. So having an online way to interact with English speaking people from all over the world. And now I've enrolled about, 9,000 people through the years into that program. So that was a pivotal thing from my past.
And I will give you a plug for that your protege program is incredible. I gained so much when I went to a seminar a long time ago. I think it was 2011. And I was a very new agent, and I was only really just learning best practices, but I can honestly say that I benefited so much from that program. I realized that I didn't know anything once I started listening to, it was CDs back then, a whole bunch of CDs, and I'd listen to them in my car, and I just became a student of them. And that helped me so much. Mm-hmm. So I can definitely give you a great testimony for that. Share a memorable moment in your business where you felt like you made a real difference for one of your clients or organizations. Is there anything that stands out to you?
One client that comes to mind, his name is Kevin Hudaba, and Kevin is a real estate agent. And at the time, he was I'll call him a solo agent. He didn't have an assistant. He didn't have other agents that were working underneath him. And I worked with him, and we worked on best practices. We got him really strong with his selling. And he ended up building a small team, and some of his family members came to help him. And he went from doing about 20 transactions a year to 80 transactions a year. And one of Kevin's dreams, in addition to helping people as a real estate agent, is he wanted to become a real estate investor. So as he started making more money as an agent, he started saving that money, started investing that money in real estate deals. And he told me about this deal that he was able to do where it was around, I don't know, 150,000 or so. And he bought the property for all cash because he had built up this little nest egg of money. And then he flipped the deal and made whatever he made. And so here's somebody who went from 20 deals a year to 80 to now, in addition to being a real estate agent, he's doing all cash deals as a real estate investor. He's in his 30s. So he's a future multi-millionaire. And that's, one of my clients that I'm just really proud of how the information he's learned from me has made a difference for him.
Awesome. So we experience a ton of personal growth in our entrepreneurial journey. So we're in one place, and then we can look back, 20 or however many years we've been doing what we're doing, and we can see changes along the way. How do you feel like this journey has changed you for the better? How has it made you a better person?
Well, it's one of the things is that it helped me just realize that I'm okay. Mm-hmm. And when I was growing up, I had very low self-esteem. I lacked confidence, and it's almost like I felt like there was something wrong with me. Mm-hmm. And as I've been on this journey, one of the metaphors that I like to use is peeling back layers of the onion. And so as we work on ourselves, peel back the layer, you work a little bit more, and it's this never-ending onion. Like I used to think, when am I going to finally be done peeling back the layers of the onion? And I just learned that it's, in my experience, it's never ending. There's always more to learn. And getting to a place of just, hey, I'm okay, and increasing my confidence, and then learning how to create my life intentionally, and not just my business, how to be intentional as a father. I have 4 kids. So as a dad and as a husband, how can I show up powerfully as a leader in my family, as a father and as a husband? How can I create the fitness results that I want? How can I create the wealth building results that I want? And I've learned that all those things can be done with intention. And I didn't know that when I first got started. And so I really live an extraordinary life, a life that I'm excited to live. And I love teaching it to other people as well, so they can learn from my experiences and have a great life, and anything I can share with them that can help them. I'm a former cook at McDonald's, college dropout, bottom producing salesperson, and now I run a successful international sales training company. And so it's been a long journey, and lots of lessons along the way. So those are some of the things that come to my mind.
Eric, one of the things I know about you is that you're very skilled at asking very good questions, and a lot of yourself, but you've shared that with your proteges. Tell me, how did that develop? Did you learn that from Dr. Moyne or Dante Perano or Tony Robbins? Where did you learn that? How did that develop? Because a lot of people, they get stuck in their whatever they're doing, and I think that asking the right questions can help you move forward, can help you get a breakthrough.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I learned it from Tony Robbins, and Tony talks about empowering questions and disempowering questions, and that your brain will answer virtually any question you ask it. So if you say, how can I apply best practices in my business? How can I increase my income by $5,000 a month? How can I be a better husband? How can I be more connected to God? Questions like that, your brain's going to answer it. And, one of my favorite questions is, what's the next right thing? As I'm going through my day, I just think, what's the next right thing? And like for right now, it's completing our interview with enthusiasm. And then when our call is done, then I got whatever else I got next. And so the questions, though, I think what's happening for a lot of people is they're not asking the questions with intention. Like our brain's always running. Our brain's always talking to ourselves. And, sometimes people they're their harshest critic. And they'll say things like, why am I always screwing up? And that's their conversation. And so if somebody says, why am I always screwing up? That's being done on an unconscious level. No one's going to intentionally ask themselves that question, right? And so when we learn about how do we guide our thinking, how do I use my genius mind? I'm not saying that as I have that and others don't. We all have a genius mind. How do I more access this part of my brain to help me create the life that I want? And, taking a page out of Tony Robbins' book, it's asking empowering questions. What can I do to better my life? And your brain will answer them. And then, you do your best to take action on that.
Excellent. Eric, there's a lot of people in this space, in the coaching, sales training space. What do you feel sets you apart from others in the same industry? Like, what do you do differently? How do you feel you're different?
I think that through the years, my protege program, I've always done as a lifetime membership, and I've created real community. And when it comes to sales training, we tend to want to get better for the rest of our career. Like for me, it's not like, well, I learned what I needed to learn. Okay, I don't need to go back and train any further. Years ago, I took a typing class and I learned how to type. I've never taken a typing class since. I probably never will. I got what I needed to get. But when it comes to sales training, personal development, a lot of people have philosophy like you and I. There's always room to grow. We're going to continue to get better. And so not so much comparing me to other trainers, but I've done a very effective job of creating a community where people can come and ongoingly learn in a variety of ways. I've got a variety of products, YouTube videos, books, courses, and so forth. So for somebody who wants to plug into a community, we have that.
That's awesome. And I can definitely say that is definitely the case. It's amazing the amount of engagement that I see on your calls. And it's like these people are friends. They support each other. And that's not something you always see. A lot of times it's more the teacher and the student, but now you have the students, like they kind of become a family. That's really fantastic to see. Last question, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs starting out in a similar role as you?
Well, when I look back, and I alluded to this earlier in our call, if I was to do it over again, I would do a better job of tapping into the best practices, because there were so many things that were available to me that I didn't take action on, that I wasn't aware of, and I didn't have it on my radar. What are the best practices? What's the best practice for the business model, for hiring, for human resources, for fill in the blank? And so if I was coaching somebody who was just getting started, I'd really look at having a mentor, looking at what are those best practices. And I will tell you one thing that I did effectively that most people don't is I had a long-term vision. So when I started, what I did is I didn't do let me dip my toe in the pool and test out the water, right? I just jumped in and I planted my flag and I said, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my career. I'm going to be a professional sales trainer. And I think that was influenced by my father, who was a pharmacist his entire career. He planted his flag in pharmacy, and that's what he did. And I think that impacted me, where once I found sales training, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And now I'm 20 plus years into it, and I got another 20 years to go. So thinking long-term, thinking in decades, planting my flag, having a long-term vision. So I was committed from the beginning versus, hey, let me try out this, whatever somebody's trying out. Let me try out this real estate thing. Let me try out this insurance thing. Let me see how it goes. Well, that puts out a certain energy.
Yes.
The prospect picks up on that, right?
Mhm.
Like, I am your client.
Yeah.
And part of why I love being your client is I get your commitment.
Mhm.
You're committed to what it is that you do. And I love working with people that are committed to what it is that they do. And so
Mhm.
when we are committed, it really does make a difference in people's desire to want to do business with us.
Yes. I think a lot of times people want a sense of security. And when they know that you are committed to serving, that you're going to be there for them on the back end of whatever service or product you're offering, that gives them a lot of comfort and reassurance. So, Eric, tell us how people can get in touch with you, how they can get engaged and follow what you're doing.
Sure. Well, I'm the only Eric Lofholm on planet Earth. So
That
if you
is true.
Google me, that's me. And I'm on all the social media platforms. So probably just a simple thing to do. If you're a Facebook person, connect with me on Facebook, or if you're a LinkedIn, or if you're a YouTube, or so go there. And I've got a YouTube channel. I've got a podcast. So just Google Eric Lofholm, however you like to connect. If you're into the sales training conversation and you want to get better, I've got all kinds of free first steps that you can take. Of course, we have paid programs as well, but usually people start off with the free training, kind of try it, see if they like it. And then if they like it, there's other ways that I can help you. So just Google me, and that would be the best way to do it.
Awesome. Before we sign off, I did want to give a little plug for the 15-minute motivational call. That happens daily. It's absolutely fantastic. And so you can check that out. I think you can get it through like iTunes, as a podcast.
Yeah, we have it at
Facebook.
The website is dailymotivationalcall.com. So all one word, just type that in the internet, dailymotivationalcall.com. And as Christine said, it's on iTunes, it's on YouTube. We do it on Zoom. It's the same call, just different ways that we get the content out for whatever your favorite content. But Monday through Friday at 7:45 California time, there's Pacific time zone, there's a 15-minute call to get your day off to a great start. So that's what Christine's talking about.
Excellent. Well, Eric, thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure, such a privilege. Appreciate everything you do and sharing some time with us to share your wisdom. And so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.